Diving in deep to the world of crypto. You're listening to Vorpen AI.
Ever snag like a killer deal online? You know, like finding those limited edition sneakers everyone wants,
Right.
but like way cheaper than usual.
Yeah.
That, my friend, that's arbitrage in action.
It is.
Now, imagine that same concept, but with cryptocurrency on a global scale. That's what we're diving into today with Vorpen AI.
Exactly. Taking advantage of those price differences in the crypto market. But, and this is a big but.
Oh, I bet there's always a but.
There is. With that potential for big profits comes, well, a pretty big risk too.
Makes sense. Like high reward, high risk. Right.
Exactly. Like stepping into a fast-paced marketplace. Fortunes being made and lost in seconds.
Okay, so how does Vorpen AI handle that risk?
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing security is priority #1 in that world.
You got it. And that's where their multi-layered security architecture comes in.
Yeah. Okay, multi-layered. Sounds intense.
It is, but in a good way. Think of it like a vault, but instead of just like one lock. Vorpen AI has layer upon layer of security designed to stop attacks at every level.
So multiple layers of defense instead of putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
So where do they even begin with all these layers? What's the first line of defense?
They start with the perimeter. Really robust network security, constantly scanning for any activity that looks even slightly off.
So always on the lookout.
Yeah.
Like before anything even tries to get in.
Yeah, like a team of guards monitoring security feeds, checking IDs at every entrance, you know?
Right, keeping an eye on everything. But what about someone who's not trying to break in from the outside? What if they try to hack in directly?
That's where application security comes in. They're constantly testing their systems, poking holes, looking for weaknesses.
So they can patch them up before a hacker finds them.
Exactly. They're reinforcing the vault door before someone tries to break it down.
Smart. Okay, so they've got the outside covered and the digital walls are strong. But what about the people on the inside?
You're getting at the human element.
Yeah, because you can have all the security in the world, but if someone slips up.
Absolutely. And that's why Vorpen AI prioritizes something called endpoint security.
Okay, endpoint security, what is that?
So every single device that interacts with their system, every computer, every phone, it's all heavily protected.
Okay, so strong passwords, limited access, that kind of thing.
All of that. They're not taking any chances.
So it's like each employee gets their own personal security detail.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit better, knowing they're not just relying on one thing.
Right. But what I find really interesting is how they combine those traditional security measures with, you know, the really unique advantages of cryptography.
Okay, cryptography. I'll be honest, that sounds a little intimidating.
It can be, but at its core, it's actually pretty simple.
Okay, break it down for me.
So imagine you're trying to read a message, but it's written in a code you don't understand, like a secret language.
Okay, I'm with you.
That's basically what encryption does. Vorpen AI uses it to protect all their sensitive data, your account info, transactions, all of it.
So even if someone got their hands on that data, it would just look like gibberish.
Exactly. Unless they have the decryption key, it's completely useless.
Okay, so like a digital locking key.
Yep. And it gets even cooler. They use multi-signature wallet.
Multi-signature. Okay, I'm going to need you to unpack that one.
So picture this. A safe deposit box at a bank.
Okay.
You need 2 keys to open it, right? One that you have and one the bank keeps.
Right, so no one can do anything alone.
Exactly. And that's the idea here. Multiple keys are needed to authorize any transaction. It adds like an extra layer of security, makes unauthorized access way harder.
Like two-factor authentication for your crypto.
Exactly.
I like it. So what else? What other tricks do they have up their sleeves?
Well, they use hashing and Merkle trees. I know those sound very technical.
Oh, where I think our listeners can handle it.
Good. So imagine every single transaction gets its own unique digital fingerprint.
Okay.
And that fingerprint gets added to this giant tamper-proof ledger.
A ledger, like an accounting book.
Kind of, but this one's digital and way more secure. So if anyone tries to change anything on the ledger, even just one tiny detail...
It would stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. Everyone would know something was up.
That's a pretty clever system.
It is. It adds a level of transparency and security that's absolutely essential, especially when we're talking about something as valuable as, you know, cryptocurrency.
Okay, so we've covered the fortress walls, the security guards, even the digital lock and key system. But let's get down to brass tacks here. Where does Vorpen AI actually keep all the money? Where's the vault?
The $1 million question, right?
Right. Everyone wants to know, Where's the money?
So Vorpen AI uses something called cold storage for most of their user funds.
Cold storage. Okay, I've never heard of that. Is that like a special crypto bank account or something?
Not quite. Think of it like this.
Okay.
You have this super high security vault, buried deep underground, completely off the grid, no internet connection.
Okay, now that sounds serious.
It is. That's basically what cold storage is. It's a way to store crypto offline so hackers can't even try to get to it.
Ah, so like keeping your cash in a safe at home instead of carrying it all around in your wallet?
Perfect analogy. And just like you'd keep some cash handy for everyday spending.
Right, you don't want to have to go to the vault every time you need a coffee.
Exactly. Vorpen AI keeps a small amount of funds accessible for trading, but the vast majority is offline in cold storage. Way safer that way.
Okay, that makes sense. But even with all these layers of security, the cold storage, what if somehow something still goes wrong?
You're right to ask that because no system is perfect. That's why Vorpen AI has a plan, like a detailed plan in case of an incident.
So they're not just hoping for the best.
Right. They've got procedures in place to identify any threats, contain the damage, and neutralize the threat.
So like a digital fire drill.
Exactly. They can freeze accounts, patch up any vulnerabilities, and, get this, they can even restore data from backups.
Backups, okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
Because if something happens, you don't want to lose everything.
Exactly. And they don't just have one backup. They've got multiple backups stored in different super secure locations.
So even if one location gets hit by lightning or something,
They're covered. They can get back up and running pretty quickly, which minimizes any disruption for their users.
okay, that's good to know. But, sometimes it's not the technology that's the weak link.
You're right. We've all been there.
We all make mistakes, click on a bad link, fall for a phishing scam.
It happens.
So what's Vorpen AI doing about that, the human element?
That's another thing I appreciate about them. They don't just focus on the tech. They're really invested in their team's security awareness.
So educating their employees, teaching them about all the latest scams and stuff?
Exactly. Regular training, phishing simulations, teaching them how to spot anything suspicious and who to report it to. It's really about building that security-first mindset.
Right, because you can have the strongest fortress, but if someone leaves the back door open.
Exactly. And Vorpen AI isn't taking any chances. On top of all that training, they also use what's called role-based access control.
Okay, now I'm lost again. Role-based access control, what is that?
Okay, think of it this way. Different keys open different doors in a building, right?
Right, like you don't want the janitor to have the key to the vault.
Exactly. So in Vorpen AI's system, employees only have access to the information they need for their specific job.
Oh, so no one has access to everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way, even if someone's account gets compromised, the damage is limited.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing they're constantly updating these systems, staying ahead of the bad guys.
That's the thing. They seem to have this mindset of continuous learning. Their security team is always researching new threats, going to conferences, always honing their skills.
Wow, so they're never just resting on their laurels. They're always pushing to be better.
That's right. They see security as a process, an ongoing thing, not a one-time fix.
I like that. But even with all the best tech and training, there's another thing that's crucial for building trust, and that's transparency.
Couldn't agree more. It's one thing to have all these security measures, but if a company isn't open about them, how can you really trust them?
So how do they actually do that? Because it's not like they can just, open up their code to everyone, right?
Of course not. But they seem to understand that trust is something you earn. They actually have regular security audits done by independent firms.
Oh, so, bringing in outside experts to, try to break their system?
Exactly. They're basically saying, hey, find our weaknesses so we can fix them.
That's a pretty confident move.
It is. And then, get this, they actually share the findings publicly. They're really upfront about their security practices.
Wow, so they're not afraid to show their work, even if it's not perfect?
Not at all. They publish detailed reports. Everything's available for their users to see. They're all about accountability.
Okay, that's impressive. You don't see that too often. And it's not just the technical stuff they're open about, right?
Right. They communicate really clearly about any incidents, any vulnerabilities, anything that might be going on, and what they're doing about it.
So no sweeping things under the rug, even if it might be bad PR in the short term.
Yeah, because they seem to get that being transparent builds trust, and that's way more important in the long run.
Okay, well, after diving deep into all this,
Yeah.
I have to say, Vorpen AI really seems to be doing a lot of things right.
I agree. They've got the tech, they've got the training, and they're not afraid to be open about it.
But let's be real. Even with all that, there's always some risk involved, especially in the world of crypto.
Absolutely. Things change fast.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What should they keep in mind if they're thinking about using Vorpen AI or any platform like it?
Do your research. Don't just take our word for it. We've highlighted some important things, but there's always more to learn.
Right, like what did we say before? Knowledge is power.
Exactly. Read reviews, understand their terms and conditions, and, trust your gut.
Yeah, if something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. And hopefully this deep dive has given our listeners some good questions to ask, as they're doing their own research.
Absolutely. And if you are curious to learn more, dig even deeper, we've got links to all the resources we talked about on our website, so check that out.
Yeah, and let us know if you have any questions or if you want us to tackle a different topic in a future episode.
We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe out there.